Al Michaels, Jim Palmer, Fenway Park, Game 6. I thought Reggie Jackson summed it up brilliantly when he said the pressure is still on Boston tonight, but would be on California tomorrow if the Red Sox win. And the other pressure now for the Angels is the fact they are minus Wally Joyner tonight and probably tomorrow night as well. He is still back in Southern California.
Well, he's definitely going to hurt their defense. Not as much tonight because Gene Mock has gone with Bobby Grich, who's an excellent fielder at first. But it does hurt their offense. Potent bat. The reason that the Angels are at this point in the season was attributed a lot to Wally Joyner. So it's a shame. He'd like to see a team at full strength. Similar to the World Series last year, he would have liked to see Vince Coleman play. It's a shame that Joyner's not able to.
So much was made about Roger Clemens pitching on 3 days rest, and he's big and he's strong and he looked very good doing it. But what about the wiry Boyd working on 3 days rest?
Well, I think the mindset is that basically that Oil Can has not pitched with 3 days rest all year, but he can do it because I think he's been thinking about it since his last start. So I think he's psyched for that, obviously, if you saw the film. He's more of a controlled pitcher, so if he makes good pitches, and again, he pitched very well the other night. He made 2 mistakes, both home runs, and it cost him the ballgame.
I would think Kirk McCaskill of the Angels is hopeful that he can start tonight's game where he picked up in about the 3rd inning in his last start here last Wednesday.
Well, he said he was very nervous, and I think you could see it. But historically over the season, earned run average the first 3 innings is almost like 5 runs a game, and then he settles down. So second start, I would think he would channel some of that energy. He said the energy was going in the wrong direction. Has outstanding stuff. If he makes good pitches, he can be very tough.
Just to quickly, what's your thought right now? The way Donnie Moore pitched the other day, and we know his shoulder is hurting, and the way Doug Corbett pitched the other night, do you think Mock might try to close if he has to close with Corbett?
I think that we will probably see Corbett, and I really think that what Boston has done because of Schiraldi's good effort is reestablish their bullpen. I think he has a lot of confidence.
Okay. Boston against California, a good man, and one of those looking on tonight at Fenway Park. And there's the California lineup tonight. Pettis, Jones, Downing, Jackson, DeCinces, Schofield, and then Grich, Wilfong, and Boone. And here we go. Game 6 at Fenway Park on what's turned out to be an almost summer-like night. It is dry after a very wet morning, a heavy downpour, a very cloudy day, but humid and warm. It feels like it's about 75. Gary Pettis to lead things off, missing outside.
It's the kind of weather that neither favors the pitcher or the hitter. You look at the year that Dennis Oil Can Boyd had, 11-4, then lost 2 right before the All-Star game. Look at the first strike, then was suspended. Came back with 3 starts, struggled, earned run average of almost 6 runs per game, then was 5-1 until he pitched the other night. Again, one of the players that caused him the most trouble was Gary Pettis. He's hit 2 home runs off him on changeups. So we'll see how he pitches, maybe with a little more fastballs tonight.
Inside, 2-1 the count. Pettis hitting 1 homer off Boyd in the regular season, and then the other one coming in Game 3. Rich Garcia works the plate. Larry Barnett at first, Larry McCoy at second, Terry Cooney umpiring at third, Nick Bremigan down the line in left, and Rocky Rowe in right. And Pettis hits a high fly ball to deep center field, but a lot of room at Fenway Park for the man, Henderson. Henderson is in the lineup tonight in center field, not only because of what he did the other day, but Tony Armas is still hurting. Armas injuring his ankle, crashing into the wall, and there are the dimensions at Fenway Park in Boston. Armas could come up and pinch hit tonight. He is available to play, but Henderson gets the start in center. Jones batting second tonight. And Oil Can Boyd starts him with a breaking ball missing low, ball 1. 1-0 the count. The Angels using their 6th different lineup. So Rupert, who has led off, who has hit well down in the order during the season, bats in the number 2 spot tonight, and a lot of the maneuvering because of the absence of Wally Joyner in there. 1-1.
And that and the fact that Pettis is having such an outstanding series, both left-handed and right-handed, a switch hitter. So with his base stealing abilities, you like to get him up on top when he's hitting. Well over 500 at 547 from the left-handed side, which is the way he's going to be facing the can tonight.
One out, bases empty in the top of the first inning. If we go to a 7th game, that's tomorrow night. It would start at 8 Eastern time. And it would be Roger Clemens for Boston and John Candelaria for California. Good fastball. 1-2.
Well, he's very sneaky, Alan. It has the 2 fastballs. If you watched the game this afternoon, you saw Nolan Ryan with an outstanding performance. 9 innings, 12 strikeouts. Not as overpowering as Ryan, but does turn one over like Nolan. Good curveball, a little bit of a screwball, and also an excellent slider that he'll throw a lot of the times to right-handers.
2-2.
Control pitcher, under 2 walks per game. I would think, though, tonight with only 3 days rest, that's what would maybe indicate he's a little bit off, is you just see the ball miss outside. Tried for the outside corner, and Gedman with a real good look for Richie Garcia, but the ball was just outside.
Still 2-2. Facial expressions tell you a few things. With Oil Can Boyd, you watched him the other night. He is like a volcano on the mound, and yet tonight slightly more pensive. And again, everything is relative. He's taking a little bit more time, and you can tell he's been talked to by Bill Fisher, by John McNamara. Stay within yourself. And that's fouled straight back just above us. 2-2 the count.
That's something they've been trying to, and he's really done well over the second half of the season. The other night he gave up 1 run, and if you saw the film in the opening, that was after he gave up 1 run, not after the 2 home runs in the 7th inning. But his answer is, well, that's the way I am, and John says, I don't think that's the best way for you to be, and he's really worked on it. He's been successful the second half of the season.
That's fouled away again. It's not that they want him to be any less competitive, of course. It's a case of just realizing where you are and staying in control. And you watched him come out of the gate the other night, very intense. You read it on his face, and now, as I say, taking far more time between pitches in the first inning tonight than he did in Game 3. Reggie and Mock, and behind them DeCenza.
Is that an intense face, Mr. Mock?
Still 2-2. If you're wondering about Mock, I talked to Gene before the game. He is very optimistic. He's a realist. And you might say, well, everybody's going to be optimistic, or at least show that side of him. He truly was. He really feels they're going to win the game tonight.
Reggie talked a little bit about the second guessing. He did everything that he should have done as a manager the other day. And his job as a manager is to get the players in the proper positions. Then they have to do the job.
Squibber foul, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, that's that little changeup, the ball he turns over. And again, I think if you want to analyze the strengths of Oil Can Boyd, he's sneaky fast, as they say, very similar to Kirk McCaskill. McCaskill maybe a couple of miles more per hour. Screwball, the curveball, but above all, excellent control.
3-2, appeal, no. That's Terry Cooney making the call at third.
There's the changeup turned over. Does Rupert go? Very close. Again, the best shot is the third base umpire. He has the best angle. If the bat goes out in front of home plate, it's supposed to be called strike 3.
And with the pitch in the dirt, Rich Garcia examines it at the suggestion of Jones and keeps it in play. 3-2. 1 out, bases empty, top of the first inning. Game 6 at Fenway Park. And he's on. So Jones fouls off enough pitches to work the walk from Oil Can Boyd. The Angels have the game's first base runner, and Brian Downing comes to the plate.
Right, Downing.
Already something very uncharacteristic of Oil Can, a walk. As we said, under 2 at 1.9 per 9 innings all season. And that's something you really can't afford to do up here in Fenway Park. There's one weakness that Oil Can has, it's the home run ball. Then again, that's what did him in the 7th inning in the 3rd game. Solo home run on a hanging slider by Schofield and hanging high changeup that Pettis drilled into right field for a 2-run home run.
Downing with Jones at first base, takes high, ball 1. 1-0 the count. It's funny, I mean, there were so many things that happened in Sunday's game, for those of you who saw it, and then for those of you who only saw highlights, there were so many highlights just in watching the Sunday night shows and what took place yesterday. Among those that were left on the edit room floor was Downing's great catch. In there, 1-1.
As great as that catch, the truly significant thing about it was it kept him in the game. As you said, Downing over his head into the wall like a linebacker. It's nothing new if you're an Angel fan and you've seen him play. Exceptional year in every sense except for batting average, 20 home runs, 95 RBIs, walked 90 times.
1-2. And again, we mentioned the story the other day, and maybe it's worth repeating when you saw what Downing did the other day. He's the man who went on the disabled list after his first pitch in the major leagues. He went after a foul pop so hard, hurt himself to the extent he was on the disabled list for 2 months. One pitch. Two down.
Threw him a screwball, then another fastball. And right here, that's what we call sneaky quick. Just doesn't get to it. That's high gas, they call it. 91 miles per hour, Downing couldn't catch up with it. And once you do that, and once a hitter in the dugout sees that, it established the fastball really all night for Oil Can. Good fastball hitter, you throw it right by him. It says, wait a minute. Get your attention.
Reggie Jackson now. One and oh the count. And that's quite a mark to break. Again, we mentioned with Berra's record, Yogi's mark acquired through the course of only World Series games. Reggie has had the advantage of the added games through the playoffs. So yes, there should be an asterisk there, but still it points up the fact that Jackson has played on winning teams and has been very instrumental.
Watch, this is a good pitch right at the knees. Oil Can's disturbed, he doesn't get the strike, and Marty Barrett comes in to try to get him to cool down, and again, he's a very emotional guy. You want the strike, but you can't let it affect you.
Two and one. And Reggie almost looking back and saying something along the lines of, was that to get even for the second pitch?
Reggie's only 2 for 17 with only 4 balls in the air, and what they've done is pitch him up. And he told us in the first interview, I have to lay off that pitch. He hasn't been able to do that.
2-2. Neither club getting any productivity out of the cleanup spot. The Angel cleanup hitters, Jackson and DeCinces, in the 5 games are 4 for 21, and Rice on the other side is 4 for 22. 2 down, Jones at first base. And Jones goes as Jackson drills it toward the gap in left center field, and Rice will have to play it off the fence. And Jones, who was running on the pitch, will score on a double by Jackson. And so Mock sending the runner 2-2, and that turns out to make the difference. With Jones going on the pitch, he's able to score, and the Angels lead 1-0.
What a calculated play, but then again, if you have a control pitcher out there and you're Gene Mock, you know he's probably going to throw a strike. The out left field look at the double off the wall. Rice and Henderson know it immediately. The only play is going to be at second if there is one. Reggie easily into second with a double.
1-0 California. Reggie Jackson at second base. 2 down, and Doug DeCinces at the plate. One and 0.
important thing to note is that the only 2 games that have been blowouts, talking about the first Angel win and then the Red Sox, the 8-1 and then 9-2, are innings where the both teams have had big innings. So especially here at Fenway Park, you have to stay away from the big inning. You give them a run, you just don't want to turn it into a 3 or 4 run inning.
Two and 0 the count.
Another thing to note is this is a game that obviously is more important to the Red Sox than the Angels. If you're John McNamara, you don't go very long with your starter. Coming back 1 day short, the bullpen will be up early.
And Al Nipper would be that man if they had to go early, as was the case the other day when Don Drysdale interviewed McNamara before Game 5, and John said the first man in would be Nipper early, and then of course once they got later into the game, that changes the whole sequence of things.
Well, it certainly does, and I think a lot of people misinterpreted what he said. He was talking long man, and then you get into the short inning, late inning type of situation. Giraldi having pitched the night before, you go with Crawford. Did one heck of a job. Came in with the bases loaded and 1 out. The Sensei to pop up, Grich to hit a soft liner back to him. Strong inning, a run, and then Giraldi comes in and reestablishes confidence.
2-0 on DeSensei. Half swing foul, and the count is 2-1.
The interesting comment is, looking at Doug, is that with the bases loaded and 1 out, Gene Mauch said, I don't have any place to, after the game, and Doug popped up, he said, I don't have any place to sleep tonight because I bet my house. Not that I would bet my house. And the reason Gene Mauch, everything he says has a reason. You have Steve Crawford on the mound, you have a fastball hitter in Doug DeSensei. He knows he's going to get a fastball. And Crawford just was a little bit better.
High drive to deep left field, driving Rice all the way to the fence, and that one's off the very top of the wall. Scores Jackson, throw to Barrett, not in time. It's 2-0, and just a few feet away from it being 3-0 on a Fenway double.
Fly ball in Anaheim. We're not in Anaheim, so it's a double. Doug almost made the place close at second by watching the ball. I think he really felt that ball was into the net. Take much of a fly ball. Another look. Little screwball, but look where it is. Right in the middle of the plate. Right in his power. Pitches really to the edges of the plate here in Fenway, especially when you're behind in the count. Long fly ball. Looks like it's going out. It almost does.
Two feet. And DeSensei has now hit safely in every game, and Bill Fisher visiting the mound. So Oilcan has been composed. He has been deliberate, but he got burned on the walk to Jones after he had him 1 and 2, and Rupert kept fouling them away. He finally lost him. And then the doubles by Jackson and DeSensei, and the activity in the bullpen as Al Nipper begins to throw. 2-0 Angels, and Schofield having a very good series. He homered the other night off Boyd.
To start the 7th inning. Interesting to see. Each year he's gotten better, brought his average up. Outstanding defensive shortstop this year, only 18 errors. 25 last season, so he's improved in just about every area. Good base runner. Along with Pettis, is really the only speed on the Angel ball club, outside of Rupert Jones with 10 stolen bases.
DeSensei at second base, 2 down. Angels on top, 2-0 in the top of the first inning. 1-1 the count. This is the first time in the series the Angels have scored in the first inning. The starting pitching in this series has been very good on both sides. The starters have been routinely taking their teams into the 7th, 8th, and all the way, as Witt did on opening night. Broken bat bouncer to short, and Owen has no play, so he has to hold on to the ball as the Sensei stops at third. So Doug is at third and asking for time and a little shaken up. And Schofield at first base.
The fans boo because there's no play, but again, another, it looks like a screwball on the outside part of the plate, except you can see Owen up the middle. Knows he doesn't have a play at third, nor at first, makes the wise decision and holds the ball.
And the Sensei a little shaken up, flexing his leg. He's the runner at third. There's Doug. And another look. Bobby Grich now with 2 on and 2 out. Takes a strike. 0-1. It's just a breeze tonight. Wind, if anything, blowing out, but really having very little effect. Just a little ripple.
Did you ever pitch at Fenway? That is a major storm if you're a pitcher.
Anything blowing out.
You want the wind coming in.
And he's hit by the pitch. And so the bases are loaded, and Rob Wilfong is coming up. And Gedman's going to go to the mound. And so is Buckner.
Again, you see Gedman inside. Talked about if anything goes with oil can, would be an indication, would be control. We've seen the walk, getting the ball in the middle of the plate.
Second base.
Now we talked before the third game. He wanted to pitch the game of his life. Obviously, of an even more important game tonight. Doesn't seem to have command of his pitches. Too many in the middle of the plate, up in the strike zone. When he tries to make a good pitch, he's unable to.
Rob Wilfong, who had the big hit Sunday in the 9th inning to tie the game, but who slumped terribly down the stretch in the regular season. 0-1.
It's in so many games, really what it sometimes comes down to is when you need an out and the right hitter is up there, you need to get him out. And this is a perfect example. 2 hits for Wilfong on Sunday, but this is the out man in the lineup.
And this is a pretty critical out right now for the Red Sox. It's 2-0 with the bases loaded. Popped up in foul territory and back out of play. And the count 0-2. It's critical because even a single means probably 4-0. And it also means you probably have to go to the bullpen and bring Nipper in. And Bob Boone is on deck. So Wilfong, the number 8 man to bat in the first.
I think if you were John McNamara, you really don't know what Al Nipper's going to do. He's a sinker ball pitcher. He hasn't pitched in a long time. Usually takes him a couple innings to accustom himself, get the sinker working. So this is extremely important out. And the 0-2 to Wilfong is hit foul sharply outside first. Still 0-2. John McNamara in his second season now with the Red Sox, and again he was the Angels manager in between the reigns of Mott. John managed California in '83 and '84. Before that Cincinnati, before that San Diego, before that Oakland. 0-2 to Wilfong, fouled away again. Two out, bases loaded. We're in the top of the first inning. The Sensei, Schofield, Grich. 2-0 California. 0-2 pitch. Still 0-2. Thrown 6 straight strikes. 0-2 the count. Moving the ball around well. Again, you wonder with the 3 days rest, he's really made some good pitches. Pitches that I would think normally he'd be able to throw by Wilfong in the first inning. Seven straight strikes and still 0-2.
Rupert Jones fouled off several, and that set the stage because Jones got the walk. Doubles by Jackson and DeSensei. The infield single by Schofield. Gritch hit by the pitch. Bases loaded, 2 down. Eight straight and 6 foul balls.
Sometimes it's extremely easy to get the first 2 strikes, but the third one.
41 pitches in the top of the first. That's the last graphic in the world McNamara wanted to see. Another. I mean, you never know what's going to happen in a baseball game, and it's very, very early, but again, this is a very critical at-bat here. Angels trying to break it open early, and Boyd trying to keep it very respectable. Just off the plate. 1-2.
Well, McCann's probably saying to himself, I know what happens when I make bad pitches. As you see the 0-2 pitch, he's right on the outside corner, a little bit off the corner. Again, Richie Garcia, the home plate umpire, going right with Rich Gedman.
Popped up, and he's going to get out of the inning as Buckner calls for it, makes the catch. Well, it took him season with a mark of 357, and he compared this batting title with the other 2 he's won.
Well, as far as all the adversity I've had to deal with this year, this probably means the most because it took a great deal of concentration to come back from what I had, and to come back and win a batting title after the death of someone that's so close to you, that gives me all the confidence in the world for the years to come.
How were you able to pull through that period, and how are you doing it right now?
Well, right now it's a lot easier than it was in July. I hit 247 for the month of July, and baseball was very meaningless to me then. I really didn't care about anything. I didn't care about getting hits, and that's not Wade Boggs because the concentration wasn't there, and luckily it came back to where I could enable myself to get back up to 357.
And the Boston lineup tonight has the man Boggs leading things off. Marty Barrett batting second, and Bill Buckner hits third. Jim Rice is the cleanup hitter. Another of the heroes on Sunday, Don Baylor, batting fifth. Dwight Evans bats sixth. Big day for Gedman on Sunday as well. He hit seventh. The biggest day for that man, Henderson. And Spike Owen rounds out the lineup. Angels outfield, Downing, Pettis, and Jones. In the infield, DeSensei at third, then Schofield, Wilfong, and Gritch. Bob Boone catching, and Kirk McCaskill. 2 years with California, and a man who really came on this season. It's worth noting, again, the Angels with good young pitching, and then augmenting that with good old pitching. When this season began, they figured on McCaskill. They knew they had Witt. They also were figuring on Ron Romanek, but he wound up getting farmed out, and then you had Sutton and Candelaria.
Well, they also lost Stu Clyburn, 9-3 on last season, so very important pitcher, 17 and 10 last year, 12 and 12, lowered his earned run average by about a run and a third a game. A one hitter, two hitters. Got hit extremely hard in the first game, as we said in the pregame. He was very nervous. Made a series of bad pitches. Boggs led off with a triple. Barrett double. Line drive by Buckner in the first game. Rice hit a rocket to shortstop. Baylor hit a ball off the wall so hard it was only a single.
1-1. That's why there were some skeptics who said, what was Mock talking about when he said, I've never been prouder of a pitcher than I was the other day? They were talking about the fact he battled back from that and really settled down and kept him in the game. And that was the game in which the elements took over. Gritch losing the pop-up in the sun, and McCaskill himself losing the chopper in the sun.
His line score surely but about 7 innings, 2 runs, and they would have been all in the first inning. So again, one of the worst things to happen is early in a ball game for you to make good pitches, which he wasn't, and have them hit. But he adjusted. Fastball, curveball, and changeup. Nothing fancy, but good stuff. Excellent curveball. Saw it right there to run a count to 3-2. Boggs led the American League in walks, 105.
And one of the reasons he did is that he's able to foul off those pitches.
That's a rarity. You very rarely see him get under the ball and foul the ball straight back. Usually the foul balls are line drives or fly balls down the left field line.
And he's on. Boggs at first base and nobody out, and now Marty Barrett comes to the plate.
A gutsy pitch, you know, hitter, especially of Wade Boggs' caliber, is not going to swing at too many balls, yet you throw your curveball. To me, it indicates he has a lot of confidence in it. He wasn't able to throw it for a strike there.
Boggs at first is no base stealing threat, of course. As far as base running, he is hampered now. Slightly torn hamstring and a bad knee and ankle as well. 1-0. And this crowd very much into it right now, very early on. And Boone wants to settle down McCaskill.
I think they probably watched on television and saw what kind of impact the crowds in California had. Great fans here in New England, but they can be a little bit, I guess, sedate. They sit back and they wait for things to happen. And I'll tell you one thing, if you get a 2-0 lead, what you'd like to do is go out there, get them out 1, 2, 3, get your team up at bat. And by walking the leadoff hitter, I think you give the Red Sox a little confidence boost.
And then you go 2-0 on Barrett with Buckner on deck. And time called now as Marcel Latchman, whose brother Rene coaches third for Boston, goes to the mound. Dwight Evans was saying, and it got enough play here so the fans read it and talked about it on television as well. He was hopeful that the Boston fans would emulate the California fans, deafening over the weekend.
Well, as a pitcher, though, if you're Kirk McCaskill, you want to keep them out of the game. The best way to do that is to get the hitters out. And I'm sure that Marcel Latchman said, hey, you have 7 guys behind you. They can't help you if you don't throw the ball over.
2-0 pitch in there. One reason I think the Angel fans might have been so noisy this weekend, part of the reason anyway, is the scoreboard kept flashing noise, noise, noise. But that would not fit in Fenway Park. For some reason, in a ballpark that's 75 years old, I think I'd fall on the floor if I saw a sign flash noise, noise, noise. Two and one with Boggs at first base and nobody out. Two and two.
Of course, John McNamara is not going to do anything like hit and run at this particular time until McCaskill proves that he can throw strikes. He's going to walk you. Why not let you walk? Once he's established himself, if he does, especially with Barrett, who's a great hit and run man because he hits the ball so well to right field, you can take that kind of chance. Otherwise, with a pitcher throwing balls, just let him walk him down to first.
Still 2 and 2. Boyd throwing 44 pitches in the top of the inning. And McCaskill is off to a pretty good start in that department. Foul back, still 2 and 2.
It's a very natural thing to get defensive as a pitcher, especially here at Fenway Park. You walk out to the mound, you look back over your right shoulder if you're right-handed and see a massive wall. The bottom line in pitching is you have to get ahead of the hitters, try to get them to swing at balls, establish your pitches, and so far McCaskill really hasn't been able to do that.
Three and two. So now we'll see about Boggs going. Barrett, good contact man, struck out only 31 times in 625 at-bats. So he strikes out about once a week.
Of course, McCaskill did punch him out 3 times in May and 2 times the other day.
And they keep Boggs at first, ball 4. First and second, and nobody out, and here is Buckner. The game beginning at a snail's pace. It's a first inning that's consumed more than 35 minutes at this point, but it's almost understandable in a way. Not only the tension and the pressure and Boyd trying to keep within himself, but we're coming off that game on Sunday. And it's like everybody just wants to be back together. Strike, 0-1. Buckner had to leave the game the other day, hobbled off, was taken out for a pinch runner. But treatment, nothing new to Billy. It's an everyday occurrence, and back in the lineup. He plays through a lot of pain and has throughout his whole career. Shot to first, fielded by Grich, and there's one play and the runners advance. So Boggs goes to third. Barrett pulls in at second. Buckner is gone, and Jim Rice comes to the plate.
Well, Billy Buck doesn't walk very much, but what he did was as good as sacrificing, even though that wasn't the intent.
Jim Rice, and he is getting a standing ovation. And again, that's another of those plays the other day that never made the highlight reel. Rice going to the wall to catch Pettish's drive at the fence. 2 feet higher, and Pettis hits a winning home run.
Infield backfield concede 1 run.
Strike, 0-1. Also, I think a little bit of emotion there from the fans, too, saying to Rice, hey, you know, we know you're not having a great series, but we're with you, man. Infield back. And it gets by Boone, and Bob scores 2-1.
Oh, no excuse for Bob Boone. I believe the ball really doesn't bounce, carries. I think if he felt the ball was going to go by him, he would have scooted out in front of it. The ball he thought he could backhand. Almost in the dirt, but not quite. Speaks of what kind of velocity and movement that McCaskill has, but does score a run.
Passed ball is the call. 2-1 the count. So Marty Barrett is now the runner at third, and he's the tying run here in the first inning with 1 out. 2-1 the count on Rice. And the Angel infield has to play back, so all it takes is a ground ball, and we're tied. And there's your ground ball. And we're tied. Two runs, no hits in the inning for the Red Sox. 2 out, bases empty, and Baylor at the plate.
If you're sitting at home, you don't realize good low fastball, pitcher's pitch. Rice, no dummy, looks at the infielder's nose. The ground ball will score a run. Not selfish, he hits it.
Are we on our way toward another Sunday ride?
Again, I know Kirk McCaskill did not want to let the Red Sox back in the game this soon. Sometimes you can't always do what you want out there.
2-0.
Looks like he has better velocity, but again, if you can't channel it and do what you want with it, you become a thrower instead of a pitcher. In this inning, he is throwing the ball, not pitching.
Can only hope that history repeats, in the sense McCaskill got off to such a shaky start the other day that he'll regroup. But the way this one is going with both pitchers, we may be going to the bullpen very early. If nothing else, because of the inordinately high numbers of pitches thrown by both men. Strike, 3-1. Gene Mark. Three and two now. 2 out, bases empty, game tied in the first inning. 2-2.
Not really see typical Red Sox Fenway Park baseball the first 2 games. A lot of runs scored, which can happen very easily up here, but a lot of times they're 9-8, 8-7, 10-8, 8-1, and 9-2 are blowouts.
High fly ball, shallow left field, and Downing comes in and makes the catch. So both pitchers stumble at the best despite the pass ball in the bottom of the first inning. He can have quite an effect on each hitter as they stand in, as attested to by Dwight Evans.
You can't tell how good this guy is until you run it back in slow motion. And that's the only way you can pick it up. He's so quick. You see a pitch that says, you know, you say, that might have been low, but I'm not too sure. Now you run it back in slow motion. You see him go down with his glove real quick and then come back up. And then you see the umpire call strike, and you say he caught it low and brought it up. He's the best at it. He's an artist. And I don't know who taught him that. I don't know if they taught him that at Stanford or what, but he's probably the smartest catcher in the game today.
He's got a PhD in pitch framing.
Well, it's not only that. When the hitters talk about it, they said you can't guess with him. It's constantly moving the ball around. Of course, the way McCaskill really exhibited wildness is real tough to really sit anywhere and develop any pattern, which is what you need to get those pitches.
Boone to lead off Pettis and Jones. Boone having a great series at the plate. 9 for 17. Top hitter on both clubs. Breaks his bat, hits it down to Owen, who one-hands and gets him. Spike Owen throwing out Boone. 1 down here in the second inning, and out of the top of the Angel batting order, and Gary Pettis. Pettis made good contact in the first, flying to deep center. Some of the Red Sox, questioning to a minor degree the bats of Pettis and DeCinces. Some wondering how Gary Pettis can hit a couple of balls as he did Saturday and Sunday so far the other way. And they were talking about DeCinces' double that preceded the home run by Grich off Henderson's glove as a fly ball that traveled a little further than you might have thought. 1-1. But it's not even a minor controversy here. I mean, when you're dealing with Mike Scott on the other side.
Well, a lot of the modern bats have a hollowed out end. Doug came out of the dugout with a cork in that hollow and went over to talk to the Red Sox today. He said, yes, my bat is corked.
2-1 the count.
If you go back, and even before that double, he had a double that really got Tony Armas out of the game. A ball he tried to catch straightaway center. He said, if my bat was corked, how far do you think that ball would have gone? I said, well, it never got higher than the fence. It probably would have gone through the fence.
That's ripped into right center field. And Gary Pettis picks up his 9th hit in the playoffs. So Pettis at first base. Gary with his 50 steals and 63 attempts this season, but Gedman has been equal to the task on a couple of occasions.
4 out of 5. They've attempted 5 steals. He's thrown 4 of them out.
Pettis was thrown out in the first inning in game 3, and then Gedman threw him out in the 3rd inning in game 4. Buckner holding him on. Jones at the plate.
Hoyle can't look to center field. That's a new unique move. You come down, the runner's over your left shoulder. He looked out at second base and then backed off the mound. Amazing. So when you have a tough first inning, sometimes you don't know where the runners are.
He's still looking over there. And it's hit down the line and hooking and going foul. Rupert Jones trying to play on a world championship team for the second time in 3 years. He was with the Tigers in '84. And that was after he had been released and had fought his way back to the big leagues through the minors. Two tie in the second. A long look toward center, and then he calls time.
Well, it is one thing you can do. You can hold the ball a long time, which he did there. You can throw over there a long time. You can quick pitch to home plate. But the one thing you can't do is let it bother you so much that you make bad pitches to home plate, because that results in 2-run home runs, especially with a man on. First pitch was a hanging screwball. He was lucky that Jones was out in front of it.
Pitch out, not moving is Pettis, and the count is 1-1.
Well, that's another thing you can do, and it's a lot easier to do that if you're ahead in the count. Just to concise what I'm saying is you respect Pettis' speed. You know that he stole 50 bases. But really what your main task as a pitcher is to get the guy out at home.
Nipper is throwing again in the Sox pen. McNamara can't afford to fool around. A lot of pitches by Boyd in the first. Another look now at Boyd. Boyd slowing himself down so much and then throwing over to first base. But he slowed himself down that he has no rhythm at all right now, really.
Really hasn't showed us he has any command of his pitches. The only way that move could be deceptive if he looks at center and then goes home. So far he's just looked at center and then gone to first base.
Now more conventionally he throws high, ball 2-1. McNamara cannot be happy about what he's seeing with Boyd so far.
But he also knows what's out in the bullpen. We talked about that earlier. 6 pitchers that he does have in the bullpen, 450 innings, 700 and some base runners.
They did get a surprisingly good performance out of a guy who was lost in the bullpen, and that was Steve Crawford. And that's another of those little vignettes on Sunday that really got lost in the fireworks. The unbelievable job Crawford did with the bases loaded and 1 out in the 9th inning and then pitching the 10th. And Crawford wound up as the winning pitcher with Schiraldi getting the save. Fouled away. 3 balls, 2 strikes now. 3-2 the count on Rupert Jones.
Well, he will be running here. Mock, you got to figure that Boyd struggling is going to throw a strike. Obviously 3-2. He's trying to. Faith in Jones.
He goes, and it's hit down to first, and a nice play by Buckner, who crawls to the bag any way he can.
That's one of those plays. If you don't have a speedy guy on, you're not on the bag, and it's a double. Here he goes off to get into a fielding position, but because of holding Pettis on, he makes an excellent play to keep the runner in scoring position and get the second out.
Pettis at second base with 2 down, and Downing is the batter. Downing with 6 RBIs in this series, and 4 of those came in game 1. The most important of the 6 was one in which the bat never left his shoulder when he was hit by Schiraldi's pitch on Saturday night. That tied the game, and Grich won it.
First curveball we've seen. And talking to Mark Sullivan, the backup catcher, he said you really have to call that pitch. Even though he has an excellent one, he doesn't want to throw it. He wants to mess around with the slider and the changeup and the screwball. Doesn't really, I believe, realize that really an infancy of state of, as far as being a pitcher, how good his curveball is.
One and two. Toward right center field, deep but playable. Evans. No runs, one hit. Pettis stranded at second at the end of an inning and a half. Two. Evans, Gedman, and Henderson in the bottom of the second inning. Evans trying to get on track in this series.
We'll talk to him about that. Really a very significant single in the 11th inning. Baylor got hit by a pitch. He hit a ground ball up the middle. And he said, that's what I have to do, basically, and not to make excuses. He said, when I come up with nobody on, and this is a perfect situation, so we'll see what he does. He said, I've been trying to swing for a home run.
Little half swing there and a looping fly ball to shallow right field, and Rupert Jones makes the play.
Right there, fooled with a curveball, but go back to that thought. He said you try to hit a home run, and if you go back and really, as you said, Al, the starting pitching for the Angels is look right there. Excellent curveball. Not much of a swing, but he's fooled. But he's been trying to hit home runs. They haven't been letting me, and the result has been a lot of outs.
Rich Gedman. Perfect day on Sunday inside. Gedman was 4 for 4 with a homer. Bob Boone, his opposite number, was 3 for 3 with a home run. On deck is Henderson, who was the big star on Sunday, but don't forget about Gedman. The sensei backhands and has a lot of time to throw him out. 2 down, and listen to the hand now for Henderson.
Well, they ought to be on their feet because if they're if he didn't hit the home run, they're not here tonight.
Another of the great things about this game, he dwells and toils in anonymity for years in Seattle, and here he is, a playoff hero. High ball 1-0.
He said it so well in the pregame interview. He said, I'm just trying to make contact and I hit a home run, and that's really what baseball's all about. You don't very often, I mean, you really, if you talk to hitters, very rarely will they ever say, I went up to home plate trying to hit a home run, and you hit one. Try to hit the ball hard, and if you're strong, sometimes it goes out of the ballpark. Johnny Moore, I don't second guess the location. True fastball is right by him, comes back with a split finger and doesn't make a good pitch. Lets it get the bat head out, but Henderson, bottom line is he had to hit it, and he did.
Strike. By the way, if you saw his interview in the pregame and you're wondering, he said the whole hometown of Dos Palos sent him the telegram. Dos Palos is in California, near Fresno. 3-2.
Good idea of what kind of stuff Kirk McCaskill has. 3-1. Henderson obviously looking for a fastball. Got it and still couldn't get to it.
Three and two down, bases empty. 2-2 tie. Bottom of the second. Got him. Does it the hard way. He goes from 3-0 to 3-3. And at the end of 2, it's 2-2 at Fenway.
It's rather easy to do, to come back after the season I spent playing professional hockey.
Third inning now with Reggie Jackson, who doubled to drive in a run. Jackson to Sensei and Schofield against Oil Can Boyd in the third. One and one. Remember when this series started and the little controversy just before the first game. What about Reggie's hand and wrist? And was it hurt punching the dugout wall in Texas? It seems like about a year ago, doesn't it? 1-2. And Jackson, who was upset about one of the calls made by Garcia the first time at the plate, lets Richie know exactly what he thinks here. And those first 2 postseason home runs, boy, you got Jackson off to a pretty good start, James.
That equaled the amount of home runs he hit in 15 years. So plus you win the game. You throw 3 solo home runs that are unfortunate enough to win because your teammates get you 5 runs and you only give up 3. It was a pleasure. 2 blasts to left field, and then I let Bando hit one even farther. You got to get him over swinging, Al. It's a psych job. Get him overconfident.
2-2 pitch. Got him swinging.
They established the fastball away, and it looks like he just turns this one over. Look at run away. Reggie tries to go out. The ball drops right on the corner. Pitcher's pitch. Also, if you make that kind of pitch, you can almost guarantee that Reggie, with a big swing, is going to miss it.
1 out of Descense, the batter. Doug doubled. And he's now 8 for 24, which figures to 333 in the series. Talking the other day about Reggie Jackson and the fact that even having a poor series statistically, he still gets your attention. The compelling figure. There is no louder sound for a strikeout than when Reggie Jackson goes down. Oh, you'll hear the fans respond in certain game situations when you get a vital strikeout, but just take your everyday, ordinary top of the 3rd inning leadoff strikeout, and the way the crowd goes wild when it's Reggie who goes down. Surveying the scene.
After 5 games, you get to be a pretty good lip reader. Doug says the ball's inside. But it does look like Oil Can has established his control. Perfect pitches to Reggie. It looks like he's on the corners. McCaskill certainly is throwing a lot better as far as command of his pitches. You're up at the plate, you plead your case. Pretty good pitch right there. Makes the umpire think.
They got him. So that's the 2nd out here in the 3rd inning. And he goes from has not struck out in this series to past tense. And McCann has 3 Ks.
We talked about the curveball. Gedman calls for it. Doug tries to hold up. He can't hit it. Again, it's one of those pitches that starts in the strike zone. You think it's going to stay there. It dips underneath the bat.
Schofield at the plate. Reached on an infield single in the 1st inning. Strike.
Curveball motion.
Chopper, and that's foul ball. Still 0-2.
Never quite seen that sign before. 2, which normally is a curveball. Sometimes it'll vary, of course, with a runner on base. And then the actual curveball motion with your hand. Sure, something that Rich Gedman would not do if somebody was on second base.
picked up down the line. Rice is there. 3 up and 3 down. So the oil can now has things in sync. He set down 5 straight. We're tied 2-2. Fenway Park in Boston, a 2-2 tie in Game 6. And Spike Owen to lead off. 1-0. It's 2-2, but stick around because McCaskill's working on a no-hitter. 2 runs, 4 hits for California. 2 runs, no hits for the Red Sox. Base hit to center field. We laugh about no-hitters with runs being scored. That's what happened to the Angels this year. Joe Cowley, the night he threw the no-hitter against California, won the game 7-1.
Well, trying to get ahead. You throw the spray hitters, the contact hitters, good fastballs, and Owen, who's been up 11 times left-handed with 4 hits after having really an awful time with the Red Sox late in the season, only hitting 143, is having an excellent series. Throw a knee high, low and away, and he gets a base hit. You start to wonder, and then it brings up this gentleman who is struggling here, even though Al, he's hit the ball extremely hard.
It's a deceiving 5 for 21, a very deceiving 5 for 21 for Boggs.
It's over 200 hits 4 times for the Red Sox. The impressive thing is when you hit 357 to win a batting championship and your batting average lifetime only goes up 1 point, you know you've having a pretty good career.
Little squibber up the line. It is a foul ball. Foul ball. Irrelevant to second base. Foul ball is the call. Now again there on a chopper up the line like that, the call belongs to the plate umpire Garcia until it passes first base, when it then belongs to Barnett, the first base umpire.
Well, Bobby Grich tries to get the ball as quickly as he can, and right here Rich Garcia who has a perfect view, tries to get out from behind the runner, and you can see the ball's about 6 inches foul. Bobby's the type of player that tries to take every edge. Again, here at Fenway, you want to stay out of the big innings, so you'll take any out. Get the ball before it's fair. You know you might get a guy in scoring position, but you have an out.
Owen doesn't run. He stole 4 bases this season in 8 attempts. And he takes a conservative lead. The 1-1 pitch is in there, and the count 1-2. Breaking pitch, hammered into right for a base hit. Owen will stop at second. The throw comes in behind him. 2 on, nobody out.
This is a curveball. It's knee high. A little bit too much in the middle of the plate, especially for a guy that's won 3 batting champions. Head down. You can still see it's still down. And rakes it into right field. Nice play by Jones. Charged the ball and set up really what I would think would be a sacrifice situation with Marty Barrett.
And the Angels have to protect against it. The sensei calls time so that he makes sure he and McCaskill are together on what they'll do with a bunt. And again, as we've pointed out, in each sacrifice situation for Barrett this season, this is the type of thing he does so well. He led the league in sacrifices with 18.
Well, here this is where you really miss Joyner. Grich is an excellent fielder, but when you have a left-handed fielding first baseman, he can come in and make that throw much more easily to third base if you're going to try to get the force. Now, normally in this situation, even though Barrett did go to first base the other day in a similar situation, you want to make the third baseman field the ball. The night in the 11th inning, Gedman with a pop fly bunt, really in a situation I don't believe they really knew whether Rich was going to be punting or not. He dropped one down because the Sensei didn't come all the way in. I think that the Angels right now are exhibiting the posture of having a defense set for the bunt. So the Sensei no doubt will charge.
And he misses. He actually foul-tipped it 0-2. And so Barrett, even though he did lead the league in sacrifices, laid down 2 in bunt situations on Sunday, and each was turned into a force at second. And now the count is 0-2. And DeCinces still wants to call time because it's not out of the total realm of possibility that Barrett could still be laying one down here. And DeCinces knows it as well as anybody, so it's not a case of just saying to yourself, I'm going to back up and play normal. And what he's doing, as you can see, is he's still guarding against the bunt. And he's up there to swing away and take slow. 1-2. Owen at second, and Boggs at first. Nobody out. Bottom of the third. Game tied 2-2.
Barrett 286 during the season. 360 here in the playoff. He can swing the bat, so sometimes you'll let him do that. Also is the type of guy that hits the ball the other way. So in many cases, you can advance runners really without bunting. Obviously, that was their intent here, but he wasn't able to get the ball down.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Again, Barrett even with 2 strikes after checking with third base coach Rene Laxman. Getting settled back in. Toward the gap in left center, and nobody is there. Owen will score. Boggs will be held. Barrett has a double. Can't bunt, foul one off, double to the gap. 3-2 Boston.
Horrendous pitch right in the middle of the plate. They're playing him hit the other way, inside part of the plate. As we said, all winter a strength program. Pettis makes an excellent play to keep Boggs at third from scoring, or at third and keep him from scoring. Not a very good pitch with 2 strikes. Really couldn't tell from that high camera position. I'm sure Kirk didn't mean to throw it there, but he did. Again, one of the reasons why Barrett had a great year, we talked last year, he down to 266 from 303 the year before. Lifted weights, a little bit stronger. It allows him to get the bat head out. He did.
Now the Angel infield coming up on the left side and back on the right side. You see where Schofield is. And then Grich plays back at first, and Wilfong at second. 0-1. Marty Barrett with runners in scoring position. That's a fascinating way to put it, isn't it? 7 for 8, and everybody else is hitting 143.
Really doesn't surprise you, though. That's an incredible stat. If you look at Doug Corbett on the right, looks like Chuck Finley on the left, or maybe, excuse me, Gary Lucas. But he led all Boston hitters during the regular season, 364. So he's really continuing at a much higher average than what he did all year for him, which is why everybody says he's so underrated.
1-1.
Really surprising in Fenway Park to, I don't really think, I guess Schofield you could call is halfway, but nobody out. 2-run lead, even though it's 3-2 now. If you give them another run, you stay out of the real big inning situation.
That's ripped to center for a base hit. Barrett will be held at third as Boggs scores 4-2.
Tries to throw a fastball outside half. Buckner just hits it exactly where he wants to, up the middle. Knows a grounder will get in the run. Pretty much a defensive swing, but something that Bill Buckner has done so well all through his career.
So 4-2 as the Red Sox erase a 2-0 California deficit. Fenway is rocking. Laxman is going to the mound. The loser of this series, of course, will go home for the winner. The winner will feel like they're on vacation at the World Series.
I like Reggie's statement. He said, I like our posture right now, but if we don't win tonight, tomorrow night the pressure's on us.
So Barrett is now at third. Buckner is at first. Nobody out. Bottom of the third inning. Boston trying to break it open, but it really takes a lot to truly break open a Fenway Park game. Keep that in mind. 6-2 or 7-2 here, if they get that far, is not 6-2 or 7-2 in a lot of other places. Right now it's 4-2 Boston. Infield double play death as Rice fouls it away. 0-1. And so here, even if Rice were to hit into a double play, and he's no stranger to doing that, the Red Sox would get another run.
Subject that's been talked about so often. Last year, Jim hit 291, 27 home runs, 103 or 4 RBIs. Everybody said he had a bad year because he hit into so many double plays. 35. This year, cut down on the swing a little bit. Only 20 home runs, but 110 RBIs, 324 average.
And he grounds it to third, and Barrett has to come home on this play and get in the rundown as long as he can, and the Angels do not execute it to the point that the tag is now finally made by Boone. And in a Keystone Cop scenario, the Angels finally get the out, but also, even though it was not exactly what you would put on a videotape and show at a clinic, they did do what they wanted to do and keep the runners at first and second.
That's because of Boone. Right here, DeCinces knows, can't get two. This is where the play eventually will turn into a Keystone Pops thing, but he runs him back. Now, good move by Barrett right here. Ducks right underneath him, but still have him going back to throw in the tag.
So 1 out, and Baylor the batter, and the scoring is 5-2, 6-5-2.
That's another key element of that play, Al, is that Buckner, without any speed, really is only taking one base at a time. So even if you try to get in a rundown, which is what Marty Barrett did, you don't want to take yourself with Baylor coming out of a big inning, so Buckner stays at second.
2-0 the count. And in that situation, first and third, and nobody out on the ground to the third, the runner at third has to come home. You have to, because if you don't, the third baseman is liable to go to second for one and back to first for a double play, and then where are you? So what it amounts to, as Baylor takes a strike, is that you would rather have first and second and 1 out as opposed to man at third only and 2 out. Swift foul, 2-2. Toward the gap in right center field, and a base hit in front of Jones, and Buckner has to be held at third, and Rice is nearly toward third. Rich cuts it off and then throws the ball away by Wilfon. Buckner comes in to score. The ball winds up out of play, and they will award, I believe, yes, home plate to Rice and third to Baylor. And the Red Sox, as you watch the bullpen exhorting the crowd, the Red Sox almost ran themselves halfway out of this inning And then Grich, after cutting it off, throws the ball away.
So right there, you see Billy Buckner holding up because he doesn't know if the ball is going to fall in or not. What sets this play up is that Rice does not look at Buckner. You've got to watch the runner in front of you. Don't see it from this angle, but what's happening is Rice is going back to second. Baylor with a big turn because he thinks it might be a double, and Grich throws the ball away.
And Boston leads it 6-2 with Baylor at third and Evans at the plate, and the infield has to play in. And when Grich cut the ball off, he looked at second. Rice was scrambling back. Baylor was trying to scramble back to first. He knew he couldn't get Rice, or thought he couldn't, and he saw Wilfong go in behind Baylor at first and try to trap him, and that's when he threw the ball away. 2-0 now.
Yeah, we talked about Wally Joyner, left-handed first baseman, would have made that throw a lot easier because he's standing in the right direction.
Chance of Dewey, Evans' nickname.
Excuse me, Grich had to turn his body completely around. Take another look. Pretty good fastball, at least as far as being away, but up in the strike zone. And again, right here, you see from the overhead camera, Rice going back, and Grich's got to turn all the way around and hit a second baseman who's covering first on the run. Joyner would have been facing that way, would have been an easier throw.
Good fastball, and the count 2-2. Boston 6, California 2. Still only one out of the inning. 2-2 the count. Boy, Grich has really been all over the board in this series. Pop up the other day, this play, then the hero the other night. 3-2 the count. To center field, and racing in and not getting there is Pettis. It's a base hit. 7-2. And to the bullpen.
Another look from above, not hit very hard. But we said Evans, who's been trying to hit home runs, just trying to make contact, and does. Loops it into center field, adds another run.
He wants the lefty, he wants Lucas, and the Red Sox have scored 5 and still only 1 out. Oh boy. I don't blame you.
79 Cadillac Fleetwood, 83 Buick Riviera,
Mr. Goodrens has the parts.
Pontiac Fiero GT,
Parts for virtually every GM car on the road today.
Oldsmobile.
Good enough to keep him right in the game, and Carter wins it in extra innings, and the Mets and Houston head to the Dome with New York a game away from the World Series. Meanwhile, here is Gedman, who was hit by Lucas's pitch the other day, and he rips it foul. Boy, is Gedman swinging the bat well.
Now, we all know that you believe in miracles because you said it back in the Olympics, but you think that fate plays something to do in baseball? They bring in Lucas to get the one guy out. It's 5-4, going to the 9th inning with a 5-2 lead. And we're looking at right now the confrontation we had last Sunday. 5-4, 2 outs. First pitch hits Gedman right. Really looked like it got him up on the right shoulder. Lucas had not hit a batter since May 3rd of 1982. 322 innings. And we're talking a short reliever.
1-1 pitch is outside. That is amazing when you think about it, because that means Lucas pitched what would amount to, if you strung that out and said those were 9-inning games, meaning he pitched 35 complete games without hitting a batter, and then hits Gedman with 1 pitch. 2-2.
Really, considering the way he's used, it's probably 40 to 50 appearances a year, spread over whatever time span since 1982. Once again, Mock brought him in. He struck him out the day before, and he failed to do the job.
Down goes Gedman. So 1 out, or the second out, as Lucas gets his first out. And they've hit around now as Henderson comes up.
A good slider, just breaks away. Gedman tries to go down and get it and can't. And that's one of the pitches that Lucas makes him effective, is that slider away to lefties. A little bit of a split-fingered fastball, and a fastball that just tails away from right-handers.
Henderson at the plate. 0-1. Bach with choices tonight. He can go to Lucas as he has. He's got the other lefty Finley down there. He's got Rule, the righty. We talked about Corbett before, and you tend to think that Corbett could be their closer right now with Moore's ailing shoulder. Popped up. And Lucas will get him out of the rest of the inning, but a lot of damage was done. 9 men come to the plate. The Red Sox get 5, and after 4th inning at Fenway Park, Boston on top 7-2, and Oil Can Boyd, having settled down after a 44-pitch first inning, goes to work on Grich, Wilfong, and Boone. Bobby was hit by a pitch in the first. 0-1. Again, a near summer-like night in Boston. Warm and humid. 0-2. The day beginning with an enormous amount of rain. Poured this morning early on. Then slackened off. Real cloudy day. But the field in excellent shape. To center field, and that one will drop in front of Henderson. So Grich tries to get the Angels started in the top of the 4th inning with a single, and Rob Wilfong comes up.
9. Wilfong. Base.
Lays down a bunt, bunting for a hit, and it's a good bunt. Boyd fields, and no throw, not in time at first base, as Grich advances to second, and safe at first is Wilfong. So Wilfong, and you're not sacrificing here, not when you're down by 5, you're bunting for a hit, the element of surprise, and he lays down a beauty.
Well, it's really bad baseball by the Red Sox. They have advanced scouts that tell you that Wilfong hit .219 on the year, do anything to get on, especially 5 runs down. If you're Wade Boggs, you really have to play in at third and take that away from him. What you've done is turn a .219 hitter into about a .500 hitter if you're going to play even with the bag, because he can bunt .500, but he proved he can hit .219. So not a particularly good play. Very similar to what happened in the National League. Wally Backman, you know, bunting is one of his really main strengths, so you play in and take the bunt away.
And Nipper gets up in the bullpen. And this is not to tell you to keep watching, but this game is far from over. It is 7-2, but it is Fenway Park. Oil Can is struggling. Oil Can's thrown a ton of pitches, and the Angels would love to get into the Red Sox bullpen. And Boone trying to keep them honest, and the reason he did that is the Red Sox are almost playing normally aligned, and now Boggs has to come up at third. You don't figure to be bunting down by 5, but at least you have to keep the defense honest, and that's why Boone did that.
We talked about how smart Bob Boone is. If you do it on the first pitch, what it does is it brings Boggs in. If you wait till 1 strike and do it, then with 2 strikes he just plays back. And Boone, if he does hit it on the ground, is a good double play man.
Strike, 1-1.
Talking about being a good double play man, of course you're talking about that he does not have a lot of speed. If he hits the ball on the ground and it's one of the infielders, it's going to be a double play.
You're talking good for the defense.
Yes. Well, in baseball vernacular, good double play man means that. I know you know that.
Absolutely. 1-2. One ball, 2 strikes, nobody out. Fourth inning. 7-2 Boston. Foul tip held by Gedman, and Boone angry that he chased one. 4 strikeouts for Oil Can.
We talked about getting ahead 0-2. Just a little bit out of the strike zone. Boone tries to make contact, which he's been doing all series, and can't do it.
Now Pettis, who is 9 for 19 in this series. See Boggs from that angle at third base, and he's in there here because Pettis has such great speed. No sense playing back at third. In for a strike, and the count is 0-2. Rich off to his lead at second, and Wilfong away from first. Juiced up now.
He juiced up a pretty good curveball, established the fastball away, and then look at the big break on this ball. Pettis swings right through it. The curveball does it, gets you out on your front foot, and then you get a ball that breaks that much. Real tough to stay back. Did exactly what he wanted to do.
Rupert Jones. He walked in the first and came in to score California's first run. Angels got 2 in the first. Red Sox countered with their own pair. And then Boston with 5 in the third. It's 7-2 Red Sox. And Jones calls time. Hit down the line in right field, dropping in a hurry, but Evans makes the catch on the run. It was deceiving when it left the bat, and Dwight had to run the great circle route. But he got there, and Dewey is the chant as Jones and the Angels squander a good opportunity in the top of the 4th inning.
This is how you win 8 Gold Gloves. Make all the plays you get to, and he makes it right there.
7-2 Boston. Spike started things with his leadoff single in the bottom of the 3rd. And before it was done, 9 men had come to the plate, and the Sox had 6 hits and 5 runs. Owen looks at a strike. So Gary Lucas on and trying to keep California in the game. One and one.
Interesting to see with a 7-2 deficit how long Gene Mauch will go with Lucas. Normally the left-handed short man. You do have to play game 7. You would think you'd like to have him ready, especially with Donnie Moore somewhat questionable. I'm sure he's out in the bullpen and will be, but he has had shoulder problems which have been well documented all season long.
I would think, and Mauch knows it, and Mauch has to manage right now, and he knows it better than anybody. He's going to manage tomorrow night's game as well as tonight at this point. And I'm sure he thinks he could still bring Lucas back for maybe one batter as it's hit sharply into center field for a base hit. So Owen singles up the middle, and Boggs comes to the plate. If we do go to a game 7 tomorrow night, and as you look at the scoring summary here, 2-0 Cal in the 1st inning, and then Boston tying it, and then the 5-run rally in the 3rd. If we do go to a 7th game tomorrow night, it's Clemens against Candelaria for starters, And then, of course, in a game 7, everybody's in the bullpen. Don Sutton will be out there tomorrow if necessary. Mike Witt could probably give you a couple of batters or an inning. Oh, 1.
It's Candelaria and staff against Clemens and staff.
Hurst could come back and pitch tomorrow. Again,
Imagine that Hurst was ready to pitch for 1 or 2 hitters tonight if necessary.
Right. Chopper to the right side. Wilfong goes to second for the out. Schofield stayed on the bag, and Owen is forced at second. So Boggs is at first base, and with 1 down, we'll take a look at Marty Barrett. Marty Barrett having a great series. Strained his neck a little bit at home today.
He said his daughter made a funny move. He moved out of the way, crossed some muscles in his back, but apparently Arthur Pappas, the physician, the part owner, also the team doctor, took care of it. Said he had some irritation, but it should be gone by tomorrow. Certainly didn't bother him on the double last inning.
Mike Witt, who pitched so well on Sunday. One and one. That was an interesting move. Just another of those little things that happened on Sunday. And I find it hard, and I know Reggie talked about it before the game, and the Angels to a man really feel the same way. You find it very hard to fault Mock. Mock did exactly what he thought would work out. It didn't work out by going to the bullpen. It's funny, Doug Krikorian of the LA Herald Examiner made an interesting point in a column yesterday as it's lifted in the air to shallow right field, and that drops to a base hit and almost a force at second. Runners at first and second, and Barrett has another hit, and Buckner comes to the plate. The point of the column was that the crowd at that point had to factor into it too, and if you leave Witt in there, maybe the momentum and Witt's momentum and the fact Witt wasn't tired would have carried him through Gedman.
Except the same crowd had seen him give up a home run, a rocket off the left center field fence, and then another rocket to right field. And as a manager, what you have to do is get the right people in there when they're supposed to be. And Gene Mauch did that, and his players didn't come through.
I think Mauch did the right thing. I thought it was a good.
Well, he did do the right thing, but
well,
what he did was, you know what I'm saying.
Exactly. Yes. I thought it was something that I hadn't thought about beforehand. The fact that it took the crowd sort of out of the game with the pitching changes, because they had to go to the bullpen, and then you had speaking of the bullpen, there's Corbett, who is not in a closing posture at the moment, more like the long man. But it took the crowd a little bit out, and then in again, and then out again, and in again. Because Lucas came in, and that took about 2.5 minutes, and then he hit Gedman, and then another 2.5 minutes when Moore came in. And then you all know what happened with Henderson. But one of those things as we go back to Sunday's game with Boggs at second and Barrett at first, so many things to talk about. I mean, just go back to the early part of the game on Sunday. Remember when Gedman was at the plate and Boone just barely missed holding on to the foul tip? Next pitch, home run. And that was long forgotten.
Reggie getting picked off when he's only stolen 1 base all year. Sending Downing in the first inning with the sensei up, who's really been swinging the bat well. With only 4 stolen bases, taking the bat out of the sensei's hand. So you can go back in almost every game that's ever been played and second guess the manager, the players. That's what makes the game interesting, or at least discussable.
3-0 the count. In there in the count, 3-1.
I'm sure, and of course I hate to speak for the Angels, but having played and almost gotten there but not quite doing it, I'm sure over the last 48 hours, somewhere in the back recesses of their mind, somewhere almost every Angels wistfully said we were only 1 strike away from it, and they were.
to Buckner. Hit to deep right center field, but Pettis can fly, and look how easy he makes it look, and the runners get back. That's a drive if you sit in the ballpark, and sometimes television can't really do a drive like that justice. When you're in the park, it looks like it's in the gap. And then the next thing you know, Pettis just makes it a routine put out. I mean, real routine.
Well, the ball even hooks because Buckner slapped the last time a single to center. This time he hooks it into right center, but Pettis, again, very good defensive outfielder, won a Gold Glove last year, is playing over in right center, gets a great jump on the ball. And I think the interesting thing about having pitched with Paul Blair in center field is that as a pitcher, the minute you throw that pitch, you turn around and you never ever see a guy on the move. He's already made that first move.
Meanwhile, Corbett comes in this series, and it's the third time he's been brought in to face Rice. And when he was brought in to face Rice in Game 2, Rice took him into the seats. 2 on, 2 out as Rice hits a ground ball to short, and Schofield goes to Wilfong for the force. So the Red Sox squander a couple of singles. It's still 7-2 Boston as we go to the top of the 5th.
And both staffs totally involved. The second time Clemens comes back with only 3 days rest. 134 pitches this second start here in the series the other night. Pitched extremely well, didn't get the win. Left with a 3-1 lead, a couple of guys on. Rice lost a ball in the lights or misplayed a ball, whatever the end result was, tied up the game.
But Reggie really, he said it early on tonight. He said, look, the pressure's on them, Boston, tonight, but it would be on us, California, tomorrow night. 2-1.
Take a look at Richie Garcia, the home plate umpire, and look how he'll basically rest his hand right on Rich Gedman's back. The reason for that, he's really close to him, inside protector. American League has gone to that. All the umpires use the inside protector now instead of that big bubble they used to call it. So you really want to work with the catcher. A lot of catchers will complain sometimes that that hand will impede them when they turn to try to get back for a foul ball. But an umpire, of course, the minute he sees contact, he tries to move out of the way. Can't always do it, of course.
Downing hits a grounder to short, and Spike Owen throws him out. So 1 down here in the top of the 5th inning. And it brings up Reggie Jackson.
Reggie Jackson.
Well, this is certainly another chapter in the maturity of Oil Can Boyd. Who would guess after that first inning, bad pitches, a couple of doubles off the wall, that he'd even still be out there. And he has gotten himself together, regained his composure. And again, I think pitching here all year is a plus.
Off his foot in the count 0-1. Well, we go back to that first inning, and we talked about what a vital early game at bat it was for Wilfong, because Boyd was a pitch away from coming out of the game and a pitch away from the Angels maybe leading 4 or 5-0 if he gets a ball in the gap, and it's a whole other story. But he battled Wilfong and got him, and now he's in control, leading by 5. 0-2 the count.
Boston has been able to take Reggie right out of the series by making great pitches, trying to pitch him up in the strike zone, stayed away from his power, which is down. You don't see that swing very often from Reggie Jackson, a defensive hack.
No balls, 2 strikes the count. 1 out, bases empty in the 5th inning. 7-2 Boston.
Reggie said it best. He said, they're going to pitch me up if I swing at it. I'm not going to hit well, and he's been doing that. They've been making good pitches.
1-2.
Saying you're going to pitch Reggie Jackson up in the strike zone is a lot different than being able to do that.
2-2. One will wind its way back into the seats. Still 2-2. One out and the base is empty in the 5th inning at Fenway Park. Oil Can Boyd and the Boston Red Sox trying to force a Game 7 on top 7-2. Red Sox in the clubhouse and during batting practice Sunday in Anaheim kept talking about Kansas City last year coming back from 3-1. As Jackson grounds one toward the middle for a base hit. So Reggie with a single to center. And the Angels have a man on with one out and Doug DeCinces coming up. So you can use Kansas City as an inspiration twice, really, because last year, you'll recall, the Royals not only came back from 3-1 in the playoffs to Toronto, they came back from 3-1 down in the World Series with St. Louis. And for Reggie Jackson, it seems every time Reggie does anything, it's a new postseason record. 36 hits. And that's an American League mark. Pete Rose had 45 hits. And I guess I should use that in the present tense because you never know if Pete's liable to be back and has 45 hits in his championship series appearances. That's the Major League mark. Down to Barrett. Nice play. Boy, he does everything. He's a joy to watch. Is Marty Barrett, and then Reggie trudges back to the dugout. 7-2 Boston.
IBS
Player right here. Marty
Certainly
Barrett.
was. Ball's hit right on the nose. Gets in front of it. Make sure he has one. Plenty of time, and Reggie tries to really impede the throw. Stands up. More or less throwing his hand and try to get in the way of the ball. Barrett to first easily for the double play.
Don Baylor starts things in the bottom of the 5th inning. Boston on top 7-2. Baylor, Evans, and Gedman. Doug Corbett on in relief of McCaskill and Lucas. One and one. Don Baylor. And again, the numbers tell so little of the story in terms of what he meant to the team this year. Late spring training deal engineered by Lou Gorman. 1-for-1. Mike Easler went to New York, and Baylor came up to New England. 2-1. Came up to New England and took over in the clubhouse, or helped to take over anyway. And that's one of the reasons McNamara was so happy about Gorman making the deal.
Home runs, chipped in with 13 game-winning base hits. So not only a great influence off the field, but on the field.
2-2. And he's a guy who's played on winning teams, but he still hasn't made it to the series yet.
I think you can directly attribute that to Don. I'm sure you're not, but similar to Reggie, wherever he goes, most of the teams win.
Ripped foul. Look out. Ball skipping back up. 2-2. Baylor has been in 4 league championship series, but never to the World Series. And Bobby Grich would be the same on the other side. So somebody will get off the schneid. Still 2-2.
Bobby Grich and Don Baylor, former teammates, Rochester. Then up to Baltimore, room together.
And then in California. 2-2. And he gets hit. And again, nothing new. 35 times this season. All-time American League career leader.
I saw him get hit to start the winning rally, but he'd rather get hit above the waist. But when you take it in the thigh or just above the right knee, or at least that seems where it looked like, then you affect his running skills. And hit in the 11th inning, started the rally that eventually enabled the Red Sox to win on Sunday.
The hit batsman, you think about it in history, it hasn't meant too much, and when it has, it's always been because of shoe polish or something like that. But there have been two huge ones in this series. As Evans fouls it away, you had Downing, of course, the other night when the Red Sox were a strike away getting hit and forcing in the tying run, and then you had Gedman preparatory to Henderson's home run the next day.
And then Baylor gets hit and scores the winning run. So that's really 3 times we've had rather significant.
One and one to count as Evans fouls it away, and the count 1-2. 7 runs, 8 hits, and no errors for Boston. 2 runs, 7 hits, and 1 error for California, with nobody out in the bottom of the 5th inning. And that's fouled away again. Angels got 2 in the first. Red Sox countered with 2 in the bottom of the 1st inning, and then hit around in the 3rd, scoring 5 times. Two and 2.
Look at Doug Corbett. Great game the other night. Sinker baller, occasional breaking ball, has to be effective, has to be a little bit out of the strike zone. Sinker that starts at the knees, just ends up a little bit lower. Talking to him today, said, of course, I have to throw enough strikes to get them to swing at that ball out of the strike zone. One of Gene Mauch's favorite sayings is, he said, if you throw the low ball hitters low fastballs or low sinkers, just throw them a little bit lower than where they want it. If you throw the high ball hitters high balls, just throw them a little bit higher than. Of course, you still have to establish the strike zone. Corbett the other night was fantastic.
2 and 2 on Evans, who backs away. The game, with an extraordinarily long 1st inning, is now well over the 2-hour mark in the 5th, as Evans gets a base hit in the left field, and Baylor pulls in at second as Downing returns it. So runners at first and second with nobody out, and Rich Gedman coming to the plate. Gedman has grounded out and struck out, and we can tell you that tomorrow, Mets, Astros, Keith Jackson, Tim McCarver and the gang heading to the Dome. Ojeda against Knepper. If necessary, we'll be here at 8 Eastern time. Steve Hurt came up with an unbelievable stat here, which is worth passing along as something you would never think about. In the history of baseball, through Friday night, there had been 648 postseason games played. 648. That's the World Series, the Championship Series, which started in 1969, and the one Division Series year necessitated by the strike in '81. As Gedman rips it into right field for a base hit, and they'll hold Baylor at third as the throw comes in and the bases are loaded. So they're loaded up, nobody out, and Henderson is coming to the plate. 7-2. And Gedman rips it to right. He is swinging extremely well.
Coming off a 4-for-4 afternoon on Sunday. Right. Can you continue with Steve Hurt's
As we look at the throw, that's exactly where I was going. I'm not going to leave you high and dry. In those 648 games, no team had ever taken a lead of more than 2 runs into the 9th inning and lost. Never. And then it happened Saturday night, and it happened Sunday afternoon in Anaheim within 24 hours. And that's amazing when you think about it. You think of the great comebacks in postseason history, but no team had ever taken a lead of more than 2 runs into the 9th and wound up losing in the history of the game going back to 1903 in postseason play. Two and oh the count. Chuck Finley in the bullpen. Infield plays in. Football-like chant. 3-0. Shattered bat, picked up, knocked down, picked up again, the out recorded at third base, but a run scores, and DeCense thinking about 2 at one point and then having to settle for 1.
Already a couple of errors on the year, or in the series, excuse me, right there, kind of looking where the runners are. Knows he can have the double play if he picks the ball up, but unable to do it. Again, when you're trailing 7-2, not to make an excuse because that should have been a double play, you don't want the run to score, so you want to try to tag third and maybe see if you have a shot at home.
It simply scored as a ground out and an RBI. There's no error on a play like that because you can never, or the official scorer can never assume a double play. That's in the scoring rules, in there for a strike. So what may look as an error to some is not only because of the rules. Gedman and Henderson, the runners at first and second with 1 out in the bottom of the 5th inning. It's 8-2 Boston. Owen looking for his 3rd hit, lays down a beauty, and he has his 3rd hit. A base hit, 11 hits now for the Sox.
The only body that has a play is Doug Corbett. He's unable to make it. Once again, seems to be looking up before he gets the ball in his hand. He loads up the bases.
Wade Boggs, bases loaded, 1 out. Already up for the 4th time in the game, takes outside, ball 1. 1-0.
Really sets up a difficult situation for Corbett. Down by 6 runs. He knows he has to throw strikes. He's not as effective if he does.
Grounded, and great play by Schofield to go to second for 1 to first for a double play. A tremendous play by Schofield, who was going towards second when the ball was hit and had to retreat, and somehow was able to come back and make the play. And you don't normally throw back to second base in that situation. Or does he misread the ball coming off the bat? Whatever, he'll have to answer that after the game. He turns in a sensational play. Schofield fouls it back, and the count is 0-1. What do you think, Jim?
had to be a pickoff. Down by 6 runs, Boggs at the plate. You have to figure, not hitting too many double plays, even though he did it tonight. Have to figure that the chances of really him not driving in a run are minimal, so let's get the second out with a pickoff play. Otherwise, I can't see him moving on any ball in that situation.
1-1 is popped up. Buckner, foul territory, 1 away. That would be a good little play. Pick the guy off at second with the bases loaded.
That'd be great.
Oh, you see that, what, about every 20 or 25 years?
Well, in desperate situations, sometimes it's the only thing that works.
Sure.
Great.
Grich hit by a pitch and single. One and oh.
Of course, in that situation, Corbett just hit a batter, gave up 3 hits. It's the last thing in his mind is a pickoff. He's got enough trouble looking the other way.
Gedman is underneath it, and now he comes into fair ground, and Boyd, who was just an innocent onlooker. I mean, he was a bystander until the end.
Well, he hung around the neighborhood, though, long enough to be in position to catch it. Again, it's a pitcher's dream. When you shag, you like to catch fly balls, but only if necessary. And right here, Boggs thinks that Gedman's going to catch it, and Oil Can says routine.
Wilfong, second base.
That has happened to me a couple of times, and the scariest thing is that when you shag, it's a little bit different angle than standing right around home plate, and a lot of times the ball will get up over the lights.
Wilfong rips it to right field, a base hit. So Wilfong with a single to right, following a bunt single, and he's 2 for 3, and it brings up Bob Boone.
Number 8. Bob Boone.
That's hit number 8 for California. 3 of them in the first. Oil Can has scattered them since. The only extra base hits were the doubles by Jackson and DeCinces back-to-back in the first inning.
Another thing, he's settled down with his control. Not only within the strike zone, his only walk is in the first inning. Mixing his pitches well. Looks like he has good velocity. He's been around 90, 91 miles per hour all night. The most important thing, his teammates have done what they really have not done that well this series, which is to put runs on the board.
Oil Can Boyd. A much quieter act tonight, much more controlled act. 1-1, and
well,
again,
we saw his histrionics. Excuse me, the other day, close ball game, 1-1, first run scoring, and then the home runs. It's a lot easier to lose your control when your team is not scoring runs.
Grounded down to short and over to Barrett. At the end of 5.5, it's 8-2 Boston. Nickname Frank Gifford hung on him a few years back. Mr. Univac. Remember that old computer about 8 million pounds? Barrett takes inside, ball 1.
Not too shabby right there, looking at those numbers.
Barrett, Buckner, and Rice as Barrett takes a strike. Most hits in one series, and Chambliss, and the difference, of course, is that Chambliss did it in a 5-game series, and so did Lynn, because the league championship series used to be a best of 5. And Barrett has put his name right up there. So Marty Barrett is 3 for 3 plus a walk. And 11 hits in the series for him. And it brings up Buckner, who is 1 for 3.
It's almost gotten to the point where you'd rather pitch around him, but very difficult to do that when he's leading off the inning with Buckner, Rice, and Baylor, and Evans, and Gedman coming up. Normally when you pitch against the Red Sox, you go through the lineup and you say, this is the one guy in the lineup I don't want to beat you. That might pick out Barrett's name.
1-0. Boy, I'm sitting here in Fenway Park in Boston, and I mean, it looks like at the moment we're going to a 7th, and I keep thinking about that 9th inning Sunday and the crowd and how crazy everything was about to become and how it was all stilled in the end, and here we are, and they know it all too well. A little pan down the Angel bench spoke volumes. Crowd with a wave. You're in a very happy mood when your team leads by 6.
Well, something you pointed out is true only if the pitcher allows another team back in the game. And 8-2 is not a safe lead in Fenway, but it is if Boyd keeps throwing strikes and the stuff that he has.
High drive, deep right center field. Pettis goes back, and it is off the fence. And the runners had to hold. Barrett thought the ball would be caught, so he's at second, and that's about as long a single as you'll ever see. And Barrett makes a rare mistake, but it's a tough play because it's one of those parts of this ballpark of nooks and crannies where you don't know what's happening. You got the jutting out angled, and it looks like Pettis is going to make the play, and Barrett had to wait. He wasn't even sure after the ball had dropped.
Describes it very well, and you don't see that very often. Again, we've had a lot of rain, probably a lot of cinder, because that's what the track's made of. The ball just kind of like hitting a 9-iron to a green. Just backed up and stayed there.
Meanwhile, Buckner comes out of the game, and Dave Stapleton will run for him and stay in the game at first base. In for a strike to Jim Rice, and the count is 0-1.
It's almost like he went back to first to tag up, which you'll do sometimes when you think that the outfielder's going to catch the ball. And it didn't look like the ball was going to be caught off the bat, but Pettis is having such a great defensive series that I think it might have fooled Marty Barrett.
And your inclination is when Pettis is even in the neighborhood, you think he's going to make the catch. First and second, nobody out. Toward the sensei to second one, turned over by Wolf on 2. And on the play, Barrett winds up at third. So 2 down, and a little bit of a salute there, a negative one for Rice. Not much, but enough fans here.
Enough to notice if you're Mr. Rice.
Exactly.
You're Jim Rice, and that's amazing. I mean, really a incredible year. Similar to what happened in California. I think fans are disappointed. They booed Donnie Moore, 52 saves. Nobody wanted him to throw the two-run home run to lose the ball game. When he comes off, they give him a boo.
And his shoulder's killing him.
3/4 zone shots,
and we know
that's the game, though.
Baylor 1 for 2, been hit by a pitch, fouled it away. You didn't have to be a genius to look into Donnie Moore's eyes and face the other day to know that his shoulder is killing him. And yet he's out there and he wants to pitch, and they need him to pitch. And he gives up the 2 homers, and he stands there after the game and really takes it like a man. Another class act in the clubhouse.
Well, the mere fact that Doug
ready
Corbett,
to pull him out of the county.
Excuse me, now that Doug Corbett is on the mound tonight indicates to me that if they go to 7 games, which it appears they're going to, that when you need an inning or whatever tomorrow night, they're going to go to Donnie Moore.
With 2 days rest. He needs that time between appearances is what it amounts to.
Well, Walker made an interesting comment. He said he needs the time, really 3 or 4 days, but he won't have that if they go to 7 games. But then again, his control's off, so it's kind of catch-22. Give him enough rest to get his arm into a situation where he can throw a little better. It affects his control. Of course, the same fans that booed Rice when he hit the double play will be cheering him if he comes up with a big hit tomorrow night. That's just the nature of baseball.
all sports. Two and one. Hammered foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes to count. 8-2. Red Sox on top. And Lashman flipping it into the 4th row. Barrett is at 3rd.
Don Sutton made I think the most appropriate statement, quote, if you want to, about fans. He said, you know, they sit up there, they have all the privileges and none of the responsibilities. But then again, they paid their money to have those privileges. I think the players understand that. You know, it's a little disheartening sometimes when you're trying to do your best and things don't turn out well.
2-2 the count. Got fooled. Down he goes. And that's the end of the 6th. 8-2. In the 7th inning, Gary Pettis leads off. Oil Can Boyd on the mound. And Dave Stapleton, who ran for Bill Buckner, stays in the game at first base. Two and 0 the count. There is Dave, who sent us all back here, made it official at least the other day by catching Brian Downing's pop foul. Pettis taking all the way. 2 and 1. Even though he bluffs what appears to be a bunt, you're down by 6 and the count is 2 and 0, and you're not doing anything but looking at it. 2 and 1. Three and 1. Pretty remarkable performance tonight by Oil Can. Really remarkable when you think about it. He nods in agreement the way it appeared there, but the way he started out, and he was a pitch away from extinction in this one, and he's brought himself back together, and right now he's pitched them into the 7th inning, and that's about all McNamara could hope for with a 6-run lead.
What a tough at bat he had with Wilfong. He talked about the importance. Made about 6 or 7 quality pitches. Wilfong fouled him off and eventually got him to pop up.
Little chopper to the left side. Owen charges. Gets Pettis. 1 down. And when you see the score 8-2 the next day or whatever it winds up, and you go, not much of a ball game, but again, you go back to that at bat in the 1st inning when the Angels had a chance to take a big lead, to get Boyd out of the game, to get deep into Boston's bullpen. And that right now is a big play. He eventually got Wilfong to pop out. Rupert Jones is 0 for 2 with a walk. Crowd right now is in what you would call a comfortable state. Not much noise, kind of relaxed, savoring the game to this point. They know it's Fenway and all of that, but they still know they lead by 6 as it's ripped toward first and caught by Stapleton for the out. 2 down.
Ball's hit right on the nose. Can is just trying to throw a strike, a luxury you have, as he had to Pettis leading off the inning. When you have a 6-run lead, you don't worry about any one pitch. So if you get behind, you try to throw something over. He was able to do it there. Jones hit it pretty hard, but Sable playing way off the line. You don't have to guard the line. Basic defense. Right to him.
0-1 the count on Downing. 2 out, bases empty. High fly ball to left field and deep, and Rice, hopeful of playing the carom, won't have that opportunity. Home run. Brian Downing hitting it just above the top of the 37-foot wall, and that makes it 8-3.
One thing that hurt him all year was the home run. 19 during the regular season on the road, only 13 here in Fenway Park. And Downing just takes a high slider, gets underneath it. Doesn't hit it that far, but far enough. Mistake, and he jumped all over it.
8-3 now as Reggie comes up with a single and a double, and he's 2 for 3. Mike Witt in the foreground.
Something to watch again. We talked briefly about it. Only 3 days rest for Oil Can Boyd. You have to watch him pretty carefully this time of the game.
0-1.
It was a decision for John McNamara. If you let him go 7, who do you bring in? You don't want to really use Schiraldi for 2 innings. You'd like to have him fresh for tomorrow night. Stanley pitched fairly well on Sunday afternoon, even though the result did not indicate that.
I wouldn't hesitate if I'm McNamara in that situation necessarily to bring in Crawford. I mean, Crawford's confidence has to be sky high right now after the other day. There's Johnny Mack right now.
Probably has
5-run lead.
Bill Fisher to his left saying, what do you think? Bill Fisher, of course, the pitching coach.
Oil Can's trying to make the decision easy for him. There's Fish. He's looking out toward the pen and puts up the left hand, indicating I think he wants Zambito to get up.
Of course, it might be a little optimistic, but John McNamara, looking one of his starters, is coming back, as we said, with one less day. He's thinking about a World Series possibly, so you don't want to hurt his arm. Hadn't done this all year. You get a 3-run, 7-inning performance out of your starter when you put 8 on the board. You got to be pretty pleased.
Still 1-2. Bob Stanley is in the Boston pen. There he is. Two and two. Drive to right center field, but he didn't get all of it, and Henderson makes the catch. Got it up near the end of the bat. So Downing hits the homer, and that's that. At the end of 6 1/2, Boston 8, California 3. As we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Evans is 2 for 3. Down to short. Schofield going to first. Alan Roth points out a very interesting figure here. There have been 11 home runs hit in this championship series by 11 different players. Angels have hit 7. Red Sox have hit 4. Gedman 1 for 3. One and 0. Sharp grounder and off the glove of Griggs. And Gedman is on again. And if that is scored a hit, and it should be, that'll be his 10th hit in this series, and it is.
Done a great job for him. 4 out of 5 attempted steals. He's been able to keep them from running. Bobby Grich, really second baseman, takes the ball. You saw the ball come up a little bit, hit the top of his glove. appeared that Wilfong might have had it, but again, your job as a first baseman, and again, Bobby has played second base for years, shortstop. You go for the balls you think you can catch. Another example, though, Joyner is left-handed. Would have been his glove side, natural glove side. Much easier play for him.
Henderson fouls it at the plate, and the count 0-1. Gedman is an interesting character as we watch Henderson foul it off again. And again, like Barrett, you get to watch a guy play every day and to begin to appreciate a lot of the things. And Gedman's having a terrific series. There he is. He's as modest as they come. When we do the interviews and you see the inserts that we run throughout the series, and we do them before the series, Gedman sat down, and it was funny the other day. When I did Gedman, he would talk at some length about generic situations or other players or whatever, and then almost not at all about himself. He'd stop after 5 or 6 seconds. And he came up to me in the clubhouse the day afterward, and he said, "Hey, I'm sorry. You know, I just have a real hard time talking about myself." And he meant it. No apology necessary. It's also one reason we haven't had too many Gedman interviews here. So we'll do the talking for him. Good ball player. 2-1 the count.
There's so many things well. Ball's a good game. Been talking about Boone framing pitches. He really does receive the ball well, throws well, hits with power, which you'd love to have if you're a manager. The only thing he can't do is run well. He can run, just not well.
3-1 the count.
We talked very difficult summer, 3 deaths in his family. Bad back most of the year. In fact, Winfield hit him with a foul tip the first week of October, right on the right shoulder. Didn't play a couple of the weekend games, yet was ready to play in the first playoff game. So as all catchers, really you have to be tough. You have to be durable to be a good catcher, and he fits the description.
3-2. 1 out.
Of course, if you do remember the All-Star game, has a little bit trouble with a knuckleball.
He's not alone.
Well, as we said then, if you can't hit it, why should your catcher be able to catch it?
Gedman, you mentioned the other day, not even drafted. Grew up nearby in Worcester, Massachusetts. Had a weight problem early on. They talked to him about it. Did the Red Sox thinking about signing him? Said, you got to lose that weight. You got to take some weight off. And he did. He spent a whole summer working on an ice truck. Foul at the plate. 3-2. Henderson having a tough at-bat here. That's twice.
Again, the down-in pitch is what Corbett wants them to swing at. Very injurious. Saw Boggs hit it off his instep on Saturday night.
No tangling this evening for that man. Just the box step. Three and 2 the count. And again fouled away.
Ball 4 again, but the ball starts over the plate. Uecker will never pay for a ticket, will he?
Long way out there. That is deepest, darkest center field. And he's on. So Henderson walks. Gedman goes to second. And up comes Spike Owen, who has very quietly had himself a perfect night with 3 singles. A reminder that Nightline will follow your late local news, and the guest tonight will be Secretary of State George Shultz. Ted Koppel will be with the Secretary of State, discussing obviously the recent summit and President Reagan's briefings at the White House today on Nightline.
The pace of this game, you better give him some coffee. so he could stay awake.
Owen at the plate.
Interesting
And
discussion
Owen.
with Spike Owen. He hits right around 250 or so at Seattle, left-handed and contact hitter. And when he came over here, he really struggled. 143 for about, I think, 43 games. And he said, I don't want to make an excuse, but when you come over, a different batting instructor, you try to make adjustments. And Walt Reniak, who's the batting instructor up here in Boston, has his thoughts. Been working with Spike, and it really paid off. Outstanding series for him. Got off to a very shaky start. Looked like he was throwing everything off his back leg. Like 4 errors in 43 games, and then in the first couple of games, a couple of hits, and hits it where nobody's playing.
And he's 4 for 4, and Gedman will score, and Henderson will score. And Spike Owen goes to third, and it's 10-3.
Talked about working with Walt Reniak, that somewhere down the road it would help him and make him a better hitter. Tonight's game is maybe down the road. Sinker in the middle of the plate, playing him around the left field. Pettis gets to it, but into third with a stand-up triple.
Latchman to the mound. Latchman to the pen. Finley and Rule were throwing. And the Red Sox break it wide open in the bottom of the 7th inning and lead 10-3. Three singles and a triple. And Boggs 1 for 3 plus a walk. 1 out of the inning. 10-3 Boston. Oh, 0-1.
Finley basically a fastball curveball pitcher. And the other day, Wilfong made a great grab on Boggs. Bring him in to face left-handers.
0-2. Barrett on deck.
93 on the gun. Started out the season at Quad City. 12 innings, 4 hits, 16 punch-outs. They said, let's get this young man to the big leagues. Really did come up when Terry Forster hurt his ankle, sprained his ankle. Northeast Louisiana College.
Barrett on deck.
Excuse me, Alex, one of these rare young pitchers that seems to have an outstanding arm, but also the ability to throw the ball over the plate, so you can bring them in relief type situations where you have to throw strikes.
2-2 the count.
In fact, he threw one right by Bob Boone the other day. He said that, does he have that good of stuff? And he said, well, he has trouble getting the ball on the inside part of the plate, so I sit in. And he said, when I sit in and he throws the ball away, he's got such good stuff, it's hard to catch sometimes. The ball's so lively. Not only good velocity, good movement.
2-2 to Boggs. Hits a short. Nice play by Schofield. And he gets him, and he holds the runner Owen at third, and that will bring up Barrett.
Schofield has been playing so well in this series. Only 1 error, and that was base runner Boston threw his hands up. The ball hit off it. Looks at the runner. Comes in and easily throws Boggs out.
Marty Barrett. Think of the 2 middle infielders tonight. Barrett and Owen are a collective 7 for 7. 1-0. And they're the quiet guys. Remember, this is the team, and as you can see, he's got some nice company there. This is the team with Rice and Baylor and Evans and Buckner and Boggs. And then you got the 2 little pests who are 7 for 7.
Go back to the great Oakland teams. Everybody thought that Bando and Jackson and Rudy and those players are the ones that did the damage, but Campaneris and North both could run. They got on base, then the other guys did their thing, just compounded the problem.
In the air to right center field, and of course we're referring to pests lovingly, and they finally get one of them out.
Ladies and gentlemen,
a couple of runs for The Sox in the 7th. It's 10-3 as we go to the 8th and move back after this message. 8th inning. 10-3 Boston. DeCinces, Schofield, and Grich with Bob Stanley out of the pen. Hello.
Keep you on your toes. Well, his ball runs and he starts it way inside. Normally what he tries to do is start on the inside part of the plate. Does with a little bit of acrobatics.
Strike, 1-1.
Of course, this would not be the time if you're a Boston pitcher to wake up in California.
2-1.
So many pitchers, instead of throwing to the catcher, have a tendency to throw off the batter, especially a guy like Stanley, whose ball, as we said, runs so much. He'll run a good 6 to 10 inches when he has good stuff.
Funny the way the 3 games in this series in this park have turned out to be one-sided. And then you had the 3 in Southern California that were beyond belief. To short. Owen. He guns him down. 1 away in the 8th inning. And Schofield is the batter. Schofield 1 for 3 tonight. This telecast, presented by authority of Major League Baseball, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Al Michaels, Jim Palmer at Fenway Park. An enthusiastic crowd anticipating a celebration which appears to be imminent. A brief celebration because they know what's coming up tomorrow. Roller, and Barrett can't get it. And that's a scoop. He's gotten everything else. So Schofield singles into right with 1 away, and Bobby Grich comes up.
You're right. Everything Barrett's been able to get to, he's been able to catch way up the middle. Jams him a little bit, fights it off. You see him straining, just can't get to it into right field for a base hit. Barrett, of course, shaded up the middle, playing the percentages, and Schofield really is an up-the-middle type of hitter.
Grich. It's a little nubber to third, and that is a fair ball, and he gets him at first base for the out, and down to second goes Schofield. So 2 down, and Rob Wilfong coming up with Schofield now at second.
Boggs has made 2 errors, and they've both been on double plays. Here, he knows he can't get the runner at second. Now, this is the call of third base umpire. See Terry Cooney call it fair. Boggs with a long throw. Great angle from that camera viewpoint.
Look out. Whew. Everybody appears to be okay. 0-1.
As Tim McCarver said this afternoon, I hate to be a punchbook, but sometimes you have to pay dearly to sit in the box seats. Very close to home plate. You get a better view, but you better duck.
Little scribble. Well, a good rule of thumb, if you don't go to a lot of baseball games and you're sitting in some real good seats just off, let's say, to the right of home plate, when a right-handed batter comes up, look out. And if you're sitting off to the left of home plate, between home and third, watch out for the left-hand batter. And especially watch out if there's a hard-throwing pitcher on the mound. 1-2. Two on Wilfong. Hit foul. Another wave makes its way around Fenway. It's late, and it's a one-sided game, but everybody is still here, savoring every moment. Two and two.
John Candelaria, I would have left a long time ago, because this is not something you like to do, sit on the bench. And I know John, many big games, knows there's a reason. Angel pitchers have not made really quality pitches tonight. Gotten behind hitters, ball in the middle of the plate. I'm sure he's saying tomorrow night's going to be a little different story. But you don't like to sit out there and watch your teammates get walloped. And what we said before Sunday's game was basically Boston is not going to stay in the series unless they get some runs. They got 7 in 11 innings on Sunday, 10 here tonight.
Chopper, nice play by Owen, and then he throws the ball away and throws it into the dugout. And so what appeared to be an easy end to the inning all of a sudden results in an Angel run as Schofield crosses the plate, and down to second goes Wilfong on the throwing error. E6.
I don't know if we'll be able to see it from this angle, but routine grounder. You'll see the play by Owen, and it looks like Stapleton really doesn't. Ball's down. He took a look afterwards. Again, if you're a left-handed first baseman, you make that play easy. Buckner's out of the game. Good angle. Looked like Stapleton after the play looked down to see if the ball didn't even look like it bounced. Just one of those throws. I think he anticipated to the inside of the bag and went to the outside bag, and he didn't reach.
Now Jack Howell comes up to pinch hit for Bob Boone here in the 8th inning. And this is Howell's first appearance in the playoffs. And he chops it foul when the count is 0-2. It's ironic that he sets that mark on a night when he goes 4 for 4. A lot of 4s in his present. One and two.
Well, it was not a great throw, but if you have a left-handed first baseman like Hernandez or somebody that can field adeptly, just go to the outside of the bag and the inning's over.
Stanley ready to hop off the mound. 2-2.
A little palm ball just running away, and he way outside. Because if you're a pitcher, you want that pitch.
And the count now 3-2.
Pretty good message. 5 pitches to Jack Howell. 4 of them have been breaking balls. Excellent fastball hitter. Excellent minor league credentials. Could be the third baseman of the future for the Angels.
And he's on. So the score 10-4. 2 on and 2 out, and Gary Pettis comes to the plate. And the Boston bullpen will swing into action. Stanley has been the whipping boy here in Boston for the 1986 season. He's a guy who did such a terrific job for so long coming out of the bullpen and closing them down. And then it's always the case, and Boston is really no different from a lot of other towns, when all of a sudden the guy does the job for years and years and then he can't do it or has a lot of trouble doing it, you really come down on him. And so it's Giraldi throwing and Stampito in the bullpen. Calvin, the right-hander. Pettis 1 for 4. Oh, and 1. Giraldi throwing in the bullpen right now. It's Fenway Park. If Pettis hits one out, McNamara's no dummy. It would be 10-7.
It's more apt that Pettis will hit a single and the next guy will hit one out, and then you're looking at a 10-8 ball game, and that's what John is aware of. He knows to play tomorrow night. He has to win tonight.
And there's a high fly ball to left field. the count. The Angels get an boon as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Stapleton takes a strike. Stapleton hitting for the first time in the game. Fouled away. Broken bat, fly ball to shallow left field and in there. And you don't see too many dunkers at Fenway Park, to left field anyway. So Stapleton with a soft single.
You always take a hit for a bat, and that's what happened here. Finley all over his fist. Again, a big swing and a soft ball sometimes will result in an outfielder taking just that half step backwards. Looked like Downing got a pretty good jump on the ball, but the ball just was hit so softly he couldn't get to it.
And now Stapleton has been up twice in the playoffs, and he's 2 for 2. Jim Rice hasn't hit the ball out of the infield tonight. Rice hitting in the bottom of the 8th inning. 10-4 Boston. Chuck Finley missing inside. 2 balls and a strike. Two and two.
Said he had a good arm and gets behind him 2-1, throws one fastball by him, and right here again. Here's my best stuff, try to hit it. Jim was unable to do that.
Don Baylor. Red Sox have banged out 16 hits. One and oh. The Angels in the 9th, Jones, Downing, Jackson. So many odd things about this series. Jim Rice having a poor series. When you look back at the 6 games, Reggie hasn't been much of a factor. Evans has had a pretty silent series. Armas wasn't doing much. Gretsch had the one key hit, but outside of that, not a whole lot. Downing, big first night, and has kind of gone along. It's been Gedman and Barrett and the Schofields and the Boones and the Pettises. Funny the way it's working out.
Also, when they come out here tomorrow, none of that will matter.
Yeah,
that's the
exactly.
interesting thing about baseball.
The third, the Sensei over to Wilfong and back to first for a double play. With the Red Sox on top, 10-4.
Where's the move of lovely sign?
And those banners, just punched up by Chuck Howard and Jeff Gordy, are the ones responsible for this delay at the moment. So the point has been made and the game will proceed. Roop 0 for 3 plus a walk. 0-1. Just another postscript while we think about it to the game on Sunday. Funny the way the angle played up in some stories that you watched on television had Dave Henderson going from GOAT to hero. GOAT, my foot. If he makes that catch, that's a great catch. He went from irony to hero.
Well, the irony is that if Armas doesn't get hurt on a line drive by DeCinces, Henderson probably doesn't hit.
Jones lifts it to left field, and Rice makes the catch. One away in the ninth inning. Downing comes up.
That's one of the writers here in Boston called it a miscue.
Yeah.
It was up there.
Strike. Broken back, pop-up, great catch by Owen. He's fun to watch, and he's having a lot of fun tonight.
Well, led the American League in total chances. See why? Right there. Ball's not hit very hard, but one of the more difficult plays for a shortstop to make is going back.
Reggie is at the plate. Tonight's game produced by Chuck Howard, directed by Chet Forty, our technical director Mike Blazo, associate director Robert Cowan, technical manager Tony Versley, unit manager Peter Grimm, telecom manager Stu Strelzer, Tony Tortorici, Chaz Wiseman, the assistants to the producer, and Steve Hurd and Alan Roth. Our thanks as always. Two balls, no strikes to count on Reggie Jackson. Fouled away. Hey, you've been around long enough. You decide for yourself here. 3-1. To left center field, Rice on the move, but he'll have to play that one off the fence. Jackson is on his way to second and slides in with a double. And so Reggie has 3 hits tonight. Breaking pitch inside, ball 1, 1-0. High drive to center field, and why not? It should be Henderson who wins it. One game for the pennant tomorrow.
Do you do this? Well, chances are your team.
Dug up nicely by Mr. Henrik at first.
And with 2 out, Gedman is the batter. One and oh. Toward the hole. Nice stop by Grich. Wheels, gets him. Corbett doing a great job. 10 straight set down by Doug. And almost everybody hitting the ball on the ground after 10 and a half. A 3-3 tie.
Time's running out to play McDonald's NFL Kickoff Payoff.
Oh, no! But it just got started!
Less than 2 weeks left to collect your favorite NFL player trading cards.
It's not enough time! It's not enough time!
Less than 2 weeks left to play and win great McDonald's food prizes.
Then let's get going, guys! Come on!
So hurry in to redeem last week's cards and collect more.
Hey, McDonald's! Wait for me!
Who has transformed video cameras?
Ooh.
Making them more compact, simpler, more colorful, more fun. Who? RCA, with the new Pro Wonder camcorder, the camera and recorder that uses standard VHS cassettes plus solid-state technology for brighter, more colorful memories. Pro Wonder.